Today we have a very special guest, Stacy Johnson. She's a real estate investor all the way out in Hawaii, and I wanted to get into her story of how she got started, not just in real estate, but in everything, in entrepreneurship. So, Stacy, what were you doing before real estate investing?
I was a full-time construction engineer. So primarily doing ground up construction on commercial projects. The first project I worked on was a $133 million dorm tower at the college that I was going to. And I interned for them um, as a general contractor. But when I was in college, and they gave me a full-time job right after. So what my job entailed was what's called a field engineer, and I literally like had plans and I would go on the field and see if they were installed per plan, and if they weren't, then I needed to design and send that to the actual engineers and say like, hey, this is actually what we can design per the spec, based off of what's in the field. And pretty much just did that with a bunch of different subcontractors, so I've got to touch all different types of the building, or all different parts of the building, whether that's plumbing, electrical, windows, roofing, the whole nine yards. And during that experience, I realized that I was working anywhere between 60 to 80 hours a week. And I was like, dude, this is kind of ridiculous. If I calculated it out, I'm making like $10 an hour. And I wasn't about to go to engineering school just to make that much. That's ridiculous. I should have took an hourly job if that was the case. And not only that, I would look at like all of my bosses and they were all just bald, grouchy, divorced guys. And I was not trying to be that. I wanted to have a family one day. And so I needed to figure out how to get out of this rat race, and read the little book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, realized I needed to get into real estate. And so I just try to find my first deal and flip it.
Wow. Yeah, no, actually that's kind of a recurring thing I see with a lot of origin stories is someone is in a situation, they kind of see their peers or bosses, whoever it is, and they're like, if I stay on this path, I'm gonna be like this. Like we gotta escape. So I think that's fascinating. But what was the first step then outside of like moving away from the job, going into real estate, if that was the next step?
So I knew I really wanted to do real estate, and funny thing is somebody sucked me into an MLM. I didn't even know that I was joining a multi-level marketing thing. But as soon as I realized what I was doing, I was like, I'm out. It took me a couple days to realize what they were doing, even though they told me, hey, if you do this, you're going to be able to do real estate. And instantly I realized, dude, this is not real estate. And so I started going to real estate network meetups, and the first one I went to was called the Women's Real Estate Network in Orange County, where I was living at the time. I lived in Irvine, and I pretty much walked in there and was like, dude, I'm the youngest one here. I was 21 at the time, and everyone here knows what they're doing. So at the end of the meetup, I just walked up to the owner of the meetup and said, hey, my name is Stacy. I want to get into flipping. I don't really have a lot of money, so that's why I want to get into that. Can you tell me a little bit about what you got going on? And we got to know each other a little bit on a more personal level, and she told me that she was moving that weekend. She just got a divorce and she was moving, and I said, "Oh, perfect. Don't go rent a U-Haul. I have a truck. Let me just go help you." And so instantly, because I went to go do that weekend, I was in her inner circle, and she helped me a lot on that first deal. I was able to ask a lot of questions to her, but I also made the mistake because she wasn't really a mobile home investor, which is what I ended up buying. But nonetheless, she was in real estate. I could still ask her questions, but that was the confidence I needed, that, hey, I have somebody in my inner circle that I can go ask questions. So I started driving for dollars every single weekend. And what that looked like for me was so I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. So Friday, I would go to sleep. On Saturday, I'd wake up at around 2 to 3 a.m. And start driving to all these different sub neighborhoods, because obviously Orange County is super expensive, and even the mobile homes are expensive. I was trying to look for something in the $5,000 to $20,000 range based off of my savings that I had. I opened up a savings account when I was in third grade and just saved all my money, did all these side hustles. I remember in high school, I was like flipping tadpoles, like fishes off of Craigslist. Um,
What?
There's like random little side hustles, right? Just to make a quick buck. But I saved all that money and would drive around, whether it's 1 hour away or 4 hours to 5 hours away to these submarkets in SoCal. And then I'd rent a room in an Airbnb on that Saturday night so that I could drive from literally sun up on Saturday till sundown on Sunday until I found a deal.
Well, a couple questions. One is, I thought, so you're talking about a lot of California. Where were you living at during this time?
Irvine, Orange County.
Okay, so you're in Irvine. Now I'm also curious, was was the entrepreneurship feel like ingrained into you at a young age or something? Because I was certainly not flipping tadpoles in high school or stuff like that. Like, where did that come from? Why were you wanting to make money and just flip stuff early on?
I didn't really know that that was entrepreneurship, but my dad and I would go to the swap meet and he would just make like these lowball offers to these guys and flip items. And I guess I
Uh,
just wanted to be like my dad and try to, it was an adrenaline rush, just like going there and being able to make more money. And I I never really spent a lot of money, but when I would want something, I wanted nice things, and I would spend my money on nicer quality things. And my parents never wasn't giving me money. I needed to figure out how to make money on my own. So that was me flipping tadpoles. I would go to this river by this shopping mall and like get them in a little cup and put them at home in this tank and they would grow a little bit and then I was selling them for like ten fishes for like $1 to people who was feeding it to their bigger fish. I saw my dad also feed his bigger fish and I was like, dude, I could probably sell this on Craigslist. So I did.
wow. Yeah, no, I think there's a power behind you seeing your dad making these lowball offers at an early age. It's because it kind of normalizes it. It
Yeah.
because a lot of people I talk to trying to get into real estate, a lot of them are older. Maybe okay, I don't want to say the age, but a lot of them are older. And when they start making these lowball offers, they always come to me like, "Hey, like this doesn't feel right. Like you just got to get used to it. Like it's normal." Like, but once you
Yeah.
see other people like, "No, this is what we do," it's like, "Oh, okay. Like I guess this is normal to do. You can make low offers. No one's gonna, no one's gonna. Well, people will get mad at you, but no one's gonna kill you probably. Like there's not a lot of downside to being able to make these low offers. So I think that's a fascinating part of your story. And then you said you started mobile homes first. So what did that look like when you're driving for dollars? How did you exactly find that and stuff?
So I was looking specifically for sell by owners. And anytime I saw like a little sign there, I would call them or I would door knock them. But that first deal, it was listed by the park, and I ended up buying that one. I think it was for $12,000. It ended up being in Orange County in Huntington Beach. So when I had saw the what I thought was the comps, they were selling for like $100,000. So I said, "Dude, this is a smacking good deal. I can totally buy this." I'm surprised nobody has bought it yet. So I was negotiating directly with the park owner and ended up buying that deal. And I remember thinking, dude, this is easy. I manage $100 million projects. This is going to be cake. And I just had way too big of an ego. I lost my butt on that first one. First of all, I did all the work myself. I remember going and telling people at work, like the subcontractors, what I was doing. And there was one day I was at work super late on a Friday. It was just me and one subcontractor that was behind schedule. So I was just sitting there, just chatting while he was doing work. I was like, hey, this is what I got going on. And I remember being at the job site. Um, like after I would go to work, I would go to my mobile home that I bought and try to do some work on it. And so I was sleeping like 3 to 4 hours a night. And on so by Friday I was exhausted, but this guy told me that hey, let me go check this out. Like, I like what you got going on. I have a daughter your age. Like, this is super cool to me. I said, okay, fine. Like, let's go check it out. Um, because he was going to help me. And he ended up showing me how to do a lot of different things. I literally changed out a P trap with him. And if you guys don't know what a P trap is, it's that little U shaped pipe at the bottom of your sink where all of the crap stays at the bottom, and that was the grossest experience ever. It was nasty, but you learn, and I got to patch drywall and do a bunch of different things, and I really learned a lot on that first project, but definitely over rehabbed it for what it was and didn't really run my comps right either. So there was just a lot of mistakes that I made.
Yeah, that's how you learn. It's all the mistakes. But actually, what surprised me was that you said you got a $12,000 mobile home in Orange County. That was
I
surprising to
know.
me. I don't like so most of my deals are in like Central Valley, California, but that like that was crazy. So what did like do you mind sharing what the numbers all look like for that one total?
Yeah, and I might butcher this, but so I'm just
Yeah.
gonna kind of use round numbers because it was a long time ago. I think I bought it for 12,500. I put in like $13,000 worth of work into it, and the problem was that I ended up holding it for longer than I expected. And in that park, the lot rent itself was like 2,500 bucks. So that what I calculated out when I originally ran the numbers, get this, it was, will I survive if I have to hold this property based off of how much money I'm making at my full-time job. That's not how you run numbers, guys.
Dang. That's
But at least I knew I would survive. So I ended up holding it for 6 months and sold it for 20, I think 25,000. So I ended up losing $30,000 on that first flip. And what I realized was the number one thing I was missing was a coach or a mentor. So on my second flip, I ended up looking for the best mobile home guy in the game. Found him on Bigger Pockets. He was writing all of the mobile home blog posts and then answering all of the forums. And I ended up joining his most expensive coaching program. And he walked me through what to actually say, how to find these guys, and ended up splitting some profits with him at the end. Because that it was like a super cheap coaching program, but what it was is you split some profits with him. But I ended up making a 20% return on that one, which was great. It wasn't a lot of money because it was in Lancaster, but that 20% return was a $5,000 gain. So I was negative 25 at that point, but I knew that when I first got started, this was going to be a long term game for me. And my parents told me that, hey, like, I'll send you to college, but if you want to go get your PhD or your master's, then you need to go pay for it yourself. So I took that as the masters of real estate investing. Before I started, I said, if I lose all this money, I'll be okay. I have a good job and I'll be okay. And we'll take that as a learning lesson. And so when I did lose that money, I didn't get knocked down too bad. Obviously, you're a little hurt. Your ego's a little hurt.
I was gonna say like because you said you were hurt, but I understand what losses feel like now. And they like it's funny, like you can say for me, I can say on social media, like, oh, I lost this amount of money on this. And like for the outside perspective, the outside viewer, like, oh cool, he lost money. But they have no idea how it actually feels to take the losses. Where like you put all
Yeah.
this effort, 6 months of work of
Yeah.
trying to sell it, fix it up, and then it's like boom. Loss. You're like, did I just waste my life for the past 6 months? Like
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. So what how did you why do you think you did bounce back? Like realistically, like I know you had the good job, but why was it that you didn't just take the loss and be like, you know what, this isn't for me? Like why'd you say no, I'm gonna keep going. I could figure this out.
Because of what I told myself in the beginning, I said,
Yeah.
this is going to be my master's of real estate investing.
Okay.
I need to get out of this job. This
Yeah.
job is horrible. I do not
Hmm.
want to stay here. I don't want to be like these people. All they do is like get drunk on the weekends and spend all their money that they're making. Plus, being around them makes me want to go buy this like brand new big truck because all of them are buying just like ridiculous things. And it's all these sacrifices that I was making. I constantly was questioning myself, like, what am I doing? Why am I not having fun? Am I supposed to go have fun? I'm just like fresh out of college and all these people are having so much fun. But I had that long term vision that I wanted to go home. Eventually, it costs a lot of money to live in Hawaii, and I wanted to be able to build generational wealth in Hawaii because a lot of people here have like a broke mindset. And I grew up with that was if you're rich, you're evil. And that was something I had to really break. And I didn't want that. Like I met rich people that weren't evil. And then another thing too is in college, I was tutoring physics in Newport Beach. So I would go to these houses of high school students and show them how to do their homework. And I remember going to these people's houses and thinking, how do I own one of these? This is crazy. I can't believe these kids grow up like this. And on July 4th, I was watching the boat tour or whatever cruise, and this guy sitting next to me, I was talking to him and I was like, "Hey man, where are you from?" And he said, "I live here 6 months of the year, or 5 months and 30 days of the year, and I live in Utah for 6 months and one day." And he told me, he's like, "I do real estate investing and this is how you like don't pay taxes and blah blah blah." And I was like, dude, I got to get into this stuff. Like, what is this real estate investing that everybody's talking about? But the number one thing was that Rich Dad Poor Dad book that said um the top 1% in the world do real estate, and I already knew I was destined to do more than just like work a job.
Yeah. Now it sounds like for you, a lot of your surroundings had the biggest impact, whether it was positive or negative, or even the negative stuff. Like you turned it into, this is just not it. This is not where I need to be, and I like that. Now, when was the move or the transition to Hawaii? Like, and then what caused all of that? The move.
Yeah, my second flip, I was in the process of selling it, and my mom got cancer. She's good now, but during that process, I was like, dude, my mom just came to California because I broke my leg and I needed someone to take care of me. She was there for me for like 2.5 weeks. She took off of work, no questions asked. And so as soon as I found out my mom had cancer, I was like, dude, I got to go home. I can't be here. And thankfully, the company I was working for, they have a branch here in Hawaii. And so I told them what was going on. I said, guys, I like, can you guys transfer me to Hawaii? I need to go home. And I mean, thank God because they transferred me here for free. And that was in the middle of selling that second flip. So I sold that one virtually. And when I moved back home, I was still working 80 hours a week. And I said, dude, why did I come home if I'm just going to keep working? I thought I came home to be with my parents. I can't even help them. And I'm living far away by the job site because I want to be able to like just go to work without a commute. And so I wasn't really helping my parents, and it kind of dawned onto me one day all the pressure of like my mom being sick. I also moved there to start a new job, so it was a brand new project that I was the only office engineer. I just got promoted into a new position in the office that I had no idea how to do. And so they were counting on me to start that, and all of that pressure. I just moved and I broke. Dude, I broke so hard at work. I don't usually cry, but I was crying so hard that I had to like leave and go to my car and just like talk myself out of it. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're at work. You need to like go back inside and tell your boss that you need to take today off. So I went back. I told my boss, I said, I don't know what's going on. I need some help. I need to just leave for the day and I'll come back tomorrow. And she said, Stacey, you have not taken a vacation in over a year. Like, go take 2 weeks off. So thankfully, She let me take 2 weeks off, really forced me to take 2 weeks off. And and that first week, I spent a lot of time at the beach in prayer and just really soaking in this beautiful Hawaii and thinking about like, why am I here? Why did I get sent home? Why is my mom sick? And that last day, on that Friday, I made this prayer. I said, God, I don't know why I'm here. I just started gaining traction in California. Why did you remove me from there? I thought I was going to build something there so I could actually bring it home. Now I have nothing. My mom is sick, and this pressure of this job is like too much. Please show me what to do because I don't know what to do anymore. And so I made this commitment that that second week of me being off, I was going to call all my leads in California. And so that second week, I'm hitting the phones, and all of a sudden, by that Friday, I made a wholesale deal, and that was all I needed to know in order for me to quit. So the next Monday, when I went back, I quit.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, they found that fast, a wholesale deal in a week, but that's a crazy story because I don't think enough business people talk about this kind of stuff. Is that all the biggest leaps of progress, in my opinion, are made when you kind of go through the rough patches and you have the time and you're like, yeah, I got to think to myself. And it's where the times you stop and you pause, you get out of the grind and you just have to think. And whether that's prayer, whether that's some just thinking to yourself or fate, whatever it is, whatever however you deal with it, it's just the slowing down because I've gone through that multiple times in my life, and even I think I'm going through something like this right now. So some different in different ways. Like you just okay, let's recollect and let's
Yeah.
see what we should do. So I loved hearing that story. I think that's crazy. Now, when you went back to your job after the 2 weeks were done, you found the wholesale deal. Then what happened?
Dude, I remember thinking it through. I'm gonna quit on Friday because they let me take 2 weeks off. But I wake up on Monday, and man, I just felt so heavy. I was like, there's no way I can do
Mm.
this all the way until Friday. Let me do Wednesday. But as I was driving in, I was like, there's no way. I gotta quit today. And I remember just going back and forth, walking to her office, then leaving and being like, I'm too scared. And then going back and eventually just letting her know, like, hey, I'm under a lot of pressure right now, and I really need to take care of my mom. So I'm putting in my 2 weeks, and thankfully they let me leave by the end of the week.
Nice. Nice. And then after that, were you scared because now you had to generate the income with all real estate and other things, or what did you do after that?
Dude, not only was I scared, I was under a lot of pressure too
Yeah.
because for the last really since I was I think 19, uh when I quit I was 22. So for the last 3 years I was living essentially for free because I was house hacking a rental.
Uh,
And when I went to move back home, I said, I'm going to spoil myself, dude. I'm only going to be here for 6 months. And then I'm going to go back to California and figure things out there. Mom's going to be good by then. And so I spoiled myself with a beachfront 2 bedroom, 1 bath house by myself. And when I quit my job, I was like under a lot of pressure to try to pay for this rent. But thankfully, I had saved up a good amount of money because I was living for free, and I didn't go hang out with all those people just having fun all the time. But I really had to put my head down and try to figure it out. I ended up partnering with that same lady that helped me on that first deal with her in her real estate business. And she helped me find deals in Hawaii and then also find deals in California. And so for that first like 6 months of me quitting my job, I was flying back and forth uh, between California and Hawaii for like 1 month at a time, back and forth, back and forth. And really, I didn't focus on like how much money I was making because I knew I had savings to live off of. I really focused on how much value can I provide this lady because she's going to teach me everything I need to know. And so with my engineering background, I joined Wealthy Investor and they gave me that whole like system and process of how to find off market deals. And I built that for her. I built her CRM, I built her cold calling system, hired people on, and just was like trying to find deals for her, helped her raise money, helped her project manage her projects, to the point where I even moved to Big Bear in one of our projects for a couple, like a month, before I realized that, dude, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to go home. I'm broke. I don't have any more money anymore. I need to just go home and do this for myself. And that's when I decided to move back home.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'm sure you learned a lot just from like being under her wing and learning from that. Um, Also, what I'm kind of curious about, because this is something that I think I've realized that has happened to me too, is that because you had the savings in place, like enough, do you think that caused you to not have like a fire lit under you of like, I need to make money now? Um, and then like as soon as you see the money start to drop and drop, and you're like, okay, like it's go time. Like I gotta figure this out, like or else I'm gonna die, you know?
Yeah, literally, I'm gonna die. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is when I moved back home, I had to bring my ego down again. I said, I'm 25 right now. Thank you, Obama, for extending health insurance until 26 years old. The time is now. I need to figure this out like right now. And dude, crazy, insane story. That beach house I was living in, um, this it was kind of in a rougher area, and this druggie lit my house on fire, literally while I was inside it, and it ended
What?
up burning. And so I got out of my lease early, and moved back home with mom and dad, and just was grinding my butt off in my childhood room until I found that first deal. And thankfully, I wasn't there for more than a year. I ended up meeting my husband Marcus now, probably like 2 weeks after I moved back home.
Oh
So I
wow.
had a boyfriend, which was great because he paid for a lot of things. Shout out Marcus. And that helped a lot, just being with my parents, not having to pay rent, not having to pay electricity. And I told him what I was doing. I was like, dude, I'm quitting this job. I know you guys paid all this money and you guys are probably upset because you guys are Asian, but I'm sure you can relate.
Mhm.
But I promise you that this is something I'm not only doing for myself, but for our family, so that we can break some generational curses. And they had no idea what I was doing, but they just trusted me with it. And even Marcus, like, he had no idea what I was doing. He's like, who's this girl that I just started dating? Like, she quit her engineering job and she's just like living at home working for nothing. Like, I don't understand what she's doing. But um he sticked it out, and thankfully, like, now we're making some money, and now he's drinking the juice, and he's like, dude, I want to be a part of this. This is cool. So it's been a journey of like really putting my head down and doing all the calls. It took me 6 months to find that first deal that I actually closed on.
Yeah. That makes me super happy to hear actually to see like I can see the whole hero journey like throughout the whole thing. It's awesome hearing that you guys are doing good now. Um, and I think it's a lot of it. It's finding people that you want to keep close that are willing to just trust you and just and believe in you. Because as much as I like being an underdog and as much as I like, proving people wrong, it does help to have people close that are like, no, like, you got it. Like we trust you. Like you're fine. You'll be okay. So I like hearing that story a lot, actually. So I guess for you, what's the next plan of action for this upcoming year? Like, what's next for you?
So last year I did a lot of flipping and wholesaling. It was half and half. And I remember when I came back, I said, dude, I'm not going to do any flipping. I'm just going to wholesale because I'm sick of flipping. But look at me, I ended up doing some flipping. This year, I want to actually not flip. I'm only going to do wholesale innovations, try to recoup some losses that happened last year on projects, and build up that stream of income, but then also take that money and, or I guess I don't even have to use my own money, but take that experience, bring a multifamily deal to an experienced investor, and rinse and repeat the same thing I did with that other lady. and try to learn that side of the business and accumulate a building while also building my social media following. So this year, my goal is to help 1,000 people find their first deal in real estate. So
That's awesome.
I created like a free guide that has the step by step of how I found my first deal, and I've just been hosting webinars trying to help people.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's actually funny. I didn't know that was your goal. That's kind of similar to where I'm wanting right now. Is I'm tired of the flips. Like, and especially this past year. Past year is a little rough. Like, I'm finishing up the last two flips right now, that are going a little bit rough. Like, like a little bit longer than expected because of the market. Um, like, I took my first couple mini losses this year with the flips, with like things, and so now I'm like, I've realized how fast everything can change with the economy, with the downturns and stuff like that. And a big focus is now like I gotta make the social media income because I need something non-real estate to support when things go bad, when the recession hits. So I think that's really cool. And what's your plan for social media? Like, what are you going to be focusing on? I guess
Everything.
everything.
YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, just kind of, I really want to start building my YouTube more because I only started that this year. So I post 2 videos a week and I just got to keep consistent at that. And then continue doing the meetups as well. Those are super helpful. So we're in the middle of analyzing a deal that looks pretty good, that in Kansas City. And I met this guy at the meetup that I host. So I host a monthly meetup as well with Wealthy Investor.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Well, no, I love hearing the story. I like where you're going. Uh, for the people listening, how can people help you, and where could they reach you if they're wanting to help?
How can people help me? Um, I don't know, man.
Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for deals? Are you looking for private money? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know, anything.
yeah, I would say I'm looking for deals. So a lot of also teaching people how to do this is partnering with them, right? So I don't want to go do all of this cold calling myself. I want people to bring deals to me and we can do them together and I'll coach you through and we can like split a fee. So I still want to do wholesaling and novations nationwide, essentially, mostly Hawaii because that's most of my network. But when people bring me deals in other major cities, I'm sure I could find a buyer.
Oh
So
yeah,
definitely, if you're like just getting started and you're actually taking action, let's collaborate.
yeah. No, I love it. Stacy, last thing, final thing for you. If you had one message you just wanted to share, doesn't have to be business, doesn't have to be real estate, just one thing you wanted to get out and something that you really care about, you want people to know, what's your message?
No one's gonna do this for you. So especially when it comes to being an entrepreneur and building a business, you have to learn how to hold yourself accountable. You have to be the one to take massive action. You can have all of this knowledge, but if you're not taking massive action on it and making mistakes, that's the key is like make the mistakes early so that you can learn along the way and don't give up.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for being on. I loved your story. I know the people listening love it too. And I'll make sure to have all your social media links in the description and the show notes below. So if anyone wants to bring Stacy a deal anywhere, send it her way. Thanks for being on, Stacy. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Justin.
Peace. So